Welcome back. This week on the Cars Unfiltered podcast, we explain how to tell if your car is on fire. Their neck gets warm, then they're like, "Oh,
Yeah, right.
my hair's warm. What's going on?"
Either that, it's like, "Oh, I didn't have heated seats in this car," and then
I end up still being on the podcast, and we also seriously discuss Cadillac's decision to move into EVs. So I have a couple things here since we're getting into this.
Oh, hey, Tom's still
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, I'm still here. And we decide if we're actually going to go to the auto show this year.
But I don't know. So are you going to the auto show, Tom?
And now, the podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Cars Unfiltered podcast. This is season 3, episode 11. It is January. Well, today it's January 13th. We'll probably release this on the 14th, which is a Monday. So we're back again. We have myself, Tom. We have Mike.
Are we doing the intros again?
I guess. I don't know.
All right, we'll introduce each other again.
It's still a new year.
Sal's here too.
Yes, and Sal.
Hello. Trying the Mrs. Doubtfire intro. Seems like it backfired, but it's all right.
Sal's kind of sick too,
I'll try
so he's going to be a little off.
I'm working off a cold.
Man, you were sick last week too. It's kind of one of those things.
It's amazing how that happens, where a sickness can last more than a few days. Tom.
I know. Well, for me, you can ask Mike. It usually lasts for me like months. It seems like.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say that the thing about my family is the Palafox clan. Well, mostly actually my mom's family, so that side, and then me and my sister. We have coughs that last months. Yeah, like if we get coughs, they'll last like months. We have really shitty lungs.
Oof.
So luckily the cough hasn't developed much, but my little nephew just got a cold and a cough, and my sister was terrified that he was going to be coughing for the next like half of his life up to this point, right? So, in any case.
Well, I hope you start feeling better soon.
Thanks.
You know what I hear good for a cold?
What's that?
Sitting by a fire.
Ooh.
I got a gas one.
Nah, that's not as good. You know what else catches on fire a lot?
Mid-engine cars?
Yeah.
Oh, man, we're segue already.
I know, right?
So
jumping right
we should
in.
probably I just got back from, I've been gone for like a week, and I just kind of went through my YouTube stuff, and I saw that Salamondrin, or Alejandro, like his channel is Salamondrin, but his name's Alejandro. So he had a McLaren Senna. I'll just give a little backstory real quick. McLaren denied him, like they weren't going to sell him one. They basically didn't allow him on the list due to, I believe, some of his prior car activities. You have to kind of, in order to get some of these like special limited edition cars, you have to play nice with the manufacturers, and Alejandro, just kind of does whatever he wants, and which I think is totally fine. But that means sometimes it's difficult for him to get new release stuff. And so when the Senna came out, I can't remember exactly what happened. He missed 2 of them, and then this third one, the original owner like basically kind of just backed out, and that's how he got it. And I think he had it for like a week or 2, and it caught fire. Like just one of the things, like hashtag supercar things, sometimes they catch fire. It appears that, it really freaked him out. And now he just released a video a couple days ago that he's going to sell. Well, he says in the video he's going to sell all his cars, but it sounds like he's like done with mid-engine stuff where he cannot see like the engine in front of him, which that kind of could make sense. Like if you're driving along, like you could be driving and the back of your car could be on fire and you may not know.
Yeah, but come on, really? You can get rid of all your shit just because one thing burned. That's like saying I'm never going to cook again because I got burned by a fucking frying pan.
So it begs the question, and I'll ask the guys that have had older cars in general. So let's say like we were just we're driving behind someone with that was leaking oil, right? So you saw the fumes come out the back, the different color, right? It smelled. Can you tell if you're burning oil out of your exhaust while you're driving?
Okay. For the normal driver, no.
Right.
Yes.
But this dude's not a normal driver. Like, regardless of the fact that, okay, maybe he's probably like he's driven so many supercars.
Well, okay. Well, put it to you this way: he knew enough to get out of the car. before it really caught on
Yeah,
fire,
yeah.
right? Which tells you that he knew something was up,
Yeah.
right? Whether he could see it through his rearview mirror or whatever else, right?
Yeah, he was paying attention.
He could tell
sure.
something was up, right?
Yeah.
Not yet, like
But
obviously
so
not your average
a
driver.
regular driver, you're saying, probably couldn't tell that they were burning oil.
A regular driver may have been in the car still while it was on fire, right?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
And then once
I
the back of their neck gets warm, then they're like, "Oh,
Yeah, right.
my hair is warm. What's going on?"
Either that, it's like, "Oh, I didn't have heated seats in this car," and then,
that's why, like, a normal driver who doesn't, no offense to normal drivers who listen to our podcast, but obviously no one thinks they're a normal driver, so it's okay.
Right? Yeah, I think we're safe.
Yeah. Is a normal driver, if they're burning oil or leaking oil, isn't going to notice until they pull the dipstick out and it's low. And then they're going to wonder, why is this low?
Correction, a normal driver won't know how to pull the dipstick and read
True.
it.
They won't do it until they go in and somebody else pulls the dipstick.
Yeah.
And then they will wonder why it's low, and they won't really question it that much, and they'll go on with their lives. As I pulled up some pictures of this thing. That's pretty bad. That thing is toasted.
Yeah. There's I mean, he got out pretty early because they shot a video of it, like just starting. Like, he was like 30 feet away, like filming it going burning up, which that's got to be. He had one video where he's like the fire. He was saying that the firefighters were like, "Man, why aren't you more upset?" And he's like, "Well, we're all safe, and it's at the end of the day, it's just a car, kind of a thing." But like now, like a few weeks later, now that's like starting to settle in a little bit. He's kind of like, man, like that was like a super limited car. Like the realization is starting to
So the thing that gets me about this, right, is supercars are high performance automobiles. Okay, duh, but they're designed for driving, not for sitting. You know what I'm saying? So you remember a while ago, what were they? Lamborghinis were catching on fire, I think,
and Ferraris,
but I think
all...
Lamborghinis were kind of the big one, right? And I saw a video of some guy in Dubai somewhere on the street, right, sitting at a stoplight, revving his engine, and that's what caught his car on fire because it overheated the exhaust without any airflow going around the exhaust, which caused the plastic or carbon fiber or whatever the fuck you want to call it near the exhaust to catch on fire, right? And that's what caused the problem in that particular instance. And I'm curious to find out if something similar happened in this case, right, where low speed or no speed driving contributed to the eventual fire because of higher heat than the car was intended for. You know what I'm saying? Like, these cars were meant to be driven. They're meant to take to a fucking track or take to the highway or whatever. They're meant to be driven, not to sit in traffic. And so I'm curious about just the scenario surrounding it always.
Yeah. I haven't like looked into it a whole lot, but I do know like he lives in LA, so there is traffic. But also too, like where the fire looks like it originated, to me, it looks like a slow fuel leak and then turned into a big fuel leak.
Yeah, and that's possible, right? I mean, so that's possible in any car.
Well, but maybe even to your point, Mike, right? If they're racing cars, right? Typically, if you're taking your car out for a race, you're going to get it inspected every time you take it out.
Yeah, for sure. You'd catch that fire,
right? If you're racing, right? I mean, if you're just doing practice laps, you might not. But a good person probably would do a checkup every time you hit the track, right? Whereas you might be less less inclined to do so if this is just a regular driver, right?
Well, but the counterpoint to my own argument and your argument is that the manufacturers should make these things well enough so that they can be driven in traffic without catching on fire, right? Maybe
but
they
is a Senna actually? And I don't know enough about the McLaren. Is a Senna street legal?
I think so.
Yeah. Yep. It's so yeah. Here's the thing, and then also too, like to the point of like him getting the car like deeply inspected after he's only put like 400 miles on the car. So like it's not really, like I don't think anybody would really expect.
But it's not even like
to go and look for fuel leaks.
It's not even deeply inspected though, Tom. I mean, you look at like F1 drivers, they always there's a check before every race.
Oh, well, okay. So here's something too. So McLaren itself bills the Senna as the ultimate street legal performance car, right? Mm-hmm. Which means to me, that means that it requires the maintenance and the care of a track car, of a race car that you happen to drive on the street, which tells me you should fucking look at it all the goddamn time to find out if there's anything wrong. Because a track car, like a race car in general is built and things are wrong with it a lot, right?
Yeah.
It'll leak shit, stuff will break, right? Like you gotta fucking look at it. You know what I'm
See,
saying?
I would actually, by that verbiage, I would actually take it the opposite way by saying it's a street. If you say it's a street legal performance car, the street legal comes first. So in that mind, I would actually say that it's a street car that has a lot of performance. But it's interesting, yeah.
See, I would build it the opposite direction.
Yeah.
If someone,
But like in my mind, it's like that. Then you would say the ultimate performance car built for the street or whatever, right?
well, if you were building a street car, I would call.
I know
it
this is semantics.
Yeah,
Right?
it is, but yeah.
But yeah, but I mean, it was a
So,
question
and
of like because it's like the Aston Martin Vulcan, right? That's not street legal, right?
Right.
It's got
that also
taillights.
comes with a team of mechanics, and
Oh
I'd also
shit!
say too that
This exhaust comes out right under the fucking spoiler. They've got that tri-tip exhaust, right? And it comes out legit right under the fucking carbon fiber spoiler on this car.
Mm-hmm.
That's
a bunch of them do.
Yeah, but that's still a fucking dude. If you're sitting in traffic, that's a problem. If you're driving, not a problem because you have airflow. If you're sitting in traffic, where's that heat going? Right up, straight up, not back, up.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. We'll have to see like what the cause and everything was of it. But I'd also say too, like he did end up buying this car direct from McLaren. And when you buy one of these cars, like you guys are, debating like kind of an ambiguous, like what is the purpose of a car if it's categorized as like a high performance, whatever. But you get all the training and information that you need about like caring for, especially something like limited one-off like this, like Lamborghini, Ferrari, McLaren, they actually like keep track of these cars after they sell them.
Yeah.
So like there's no way that, especially somebody spending that much money on a car, there's pretty much I would say very low chance that like you buy a car that expensive from a manufacturer and you don't know how to care for it. So like
I don't know about that,
man.
I don't know about that.
If you're like some sultan somewhere that's just like, drops the money and ships it over, like they don't care, but they also probably have a team of people to maintain them.
No, I would say that Alejandro in this case is the exception to the rule. And most of these cars go to people that don't have a fucking clue how to care for them.
I'll give you perfect.
I don't think so, man.
I'll give you a perfect example.
I disagree.
Now, granted, they're not this limited edition, but she was just recently on like Carpool Karaoke or whatever. But Cardi B has like 2 Lamborghinis, including an Urus, and like a Ferrari and like a Bentley. She doesn't have a driver's license. She literally says that she bought them so she could take pictures next to them.
Yeah, she has no idea how to care for those cars. She probably doesn't even know that what she's wearing will scratch those cars.
Right.
The difference is though, you're taking like an exception. Right. So like,
no, she's not an exception. She's the rule, Tom. You're like Alejandro and the guys that you watch and that we see are the exception, right? Like the Grand Tour guys are the exception. They're not the rule. Right. The guy they borrowed those cars from is the rule, right?
I don't know, man. That seems like a little bit of a stretch. Like because there's not that many like, Post Malones and Cardi B's out there.
I guess I'd say that the proportion of people that buy supercars that are actually trained drivers or have any sort of knowledge on race car driving is smaller than the people that are just rich. But in any case, so I guess taking this to the next logical point. So then, Tom, are you saying that you think McLaren is on the hook for this? The McLaren built it wrong.
I would say unless like Salamondrin or somebody like, flicked some kind of flaming material into the car, I would say it is an issue with McLaren that McLaren messed up, and I would be on the lookout for more Sennas going up in flames.
Well, and I would tend to agree with you that I would assume personally, looking at how this thing caught on fire and whatnot, and the pictures that he's got of where it caught on fire don't seem to be like a traffic situation. Which isn't to say that he wasn't able to get out of traffic, right, or whatever. But it would seem to me that this is more a manufacturer defect, an unintentional defect, right? Like a loose fuel fitting or something versus misuse. Because let's be honest, Alejandro does know how to drive cars.
Yeah, but in my point, they can spin zone that like Tesla did with all the Tesla fires, saying, "Oh,
But the difference is here you have a niche manufacturer, right? That doesn't have the they don't have the luxury of seeming aloof, right? They can't come across as not caring because people won't buy their shit. They have
Well,
they
the
almost
thing is,
have
though,
to
too.
care, right?
Well,
So
no,
does
here's the thing,
Tesla.
though. Like, okay, so it caught on fire, right? This one limited production car caught on fire. Like, you're telling me, like, next year when they have another limited production car, like, their sales are going to be affected by this crash?
No,
Doubtful.
no.
Yeah, no, because there's a list of 500,000 people looking to buy 50 cars.
But they could be
Right.
if they show enough of a lack of regard for their customers in the aftermarket, which is like when your car fucking catches on
Yeah.
fire, right? Then
Mhm.
people would be less inclined to buy their cars in the future, regardless. You know, like
Yeah, I
not by a
don't know.
lot.
Yeah.
I'm not saying a lot, right? But
don't know. I
eventually,
would
if
say-
you prove a pattern of not caring,
Yeah, I don't know if it affects these big guys, though. I really
yeah,
don't.
maybe.
Because, I mean,
Yeah,
for
I
a
mean,
long
because I
time...
think if it was the
Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
if it was the 570s where they're selling higher volume, I would say yes, right?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, all right. I
And
would
because
agree.
I still think that there's a lot of... I mean, it's like the old statistics about Ferraris, that, like, most Ferraris drive less than whatever it is, 600 miles a year or whatever. Right? This is a showroom car for 99% of the population that buys them.
Yeah, you're right. Most people are buying it as an art piece or as like a watch, a luxury fucking watch instead of a car.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, here's
I get it.
interesting twist. Okay, what if the new Ford GTs were catching on fire? That would be a big deal.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because there you have somebody who also has to produce a fucking Escape, and the people that are going to buy the Escape are paying attention to what happens with the GT, right?
My mom is not paying attention to what's happening with the Ford GT.
Does your mom buy an Escape, or
Yes.
did you tell her to buy an Escape?
No, I didn't
Oh.
tell anyone. My mom's picked 2 Escapes in a row. My sister has an Escape.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
my
that's valid.
parents.
I will think
my
that
parents would not be keeping track.
it would lose them credibility in the supercar market or whatever.
Yeah,
Right.
you might, yeah, okay.
Because again, remember, and this is I realize this is privy information to the 3 of us that follow this type of thing. It's not a standard engine.
Yeah, right.
As much as Ford
Mhm.
builds it to be, it's the 3.5 Eco, it's not. It's got, magnesium pistons and crankshafts and all this, just completely modded.
Does it actually have magnesium though, or are you just pulling that out of your
No,
ass?
I think it does. I think it is the same. It is like the racing pistons and stuff, which typically they have magnesium, don't they?
No. Why would you make magnesium pistons? They fucking burn. Magnesium is a volatile metal. Why would you make anything that's near a combustion chamber out of magnesium?
It's also brittle.
I mean, it's possible.
But brittle.
I can see there being
the
a magnesium
pistons,
alloy, but I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. There's some sort of exotic metal on there.
I don't know enough about metallurgy to tell you. But I don't know that magnesium would hold up to that. But okay, so does it make sense to get rid of the rest of your supercars? Does it make sense to get rid of your Ford GT because your McLaren caught on fire?
Well, so the big one for me that he says he's getting rid of is his Porsche CGT, his Carrera GT, which nobody does this, but he had every panel removed and it painted like a custom color and stuff. And I'm like, that is extreme. So, if he's serious, that's, I mean, maybe he just wants to switch out his garage. Like, I could see that. Like, a lot of people do that on YouTube and stuff.
You think he's going to go for electric stuff?
No, he's had some electric, hybrids, right? He's had some of those in the past. I don't remember. He had a Koenigsegg even. I think the Regera or something.
So what you're saying is he's not going to...
I could be wrong on that. I don't remember.
So what you're saying is he's not going to transition to Cadillacs?
Doesn't seem like it. Nope. Segue.
Yeah,
nice.
So where I was going with that is Cadillac announcing that their Sal's not paying attention anymore. So
I am. We just hit a segue.
So yeah, Cadillac has announced that they're gonna lead the electric charge at General Motors now. Are they technically General Motors or are they technically GM as the name now? You remember they went to the bankruptcy, they had to change the name.
Still.
Did it used to be the General Motors Company or General Motors Corp or something?
that I
and they
don't
had
know.
to drop it.
That I don't know.
But anyway, regardless of that, yeah, Cadillac is now spearheading the electric revolution at GM. So what do you think of that, Tom?
So it's kind of interesting because this news was actually picked up on TechCrunch.com, which if people don't know, TechCrunch is like they make fun of it on the show Silicon Valley. It's like the place where everybody tries to get their startup news posted on to get more funding and kind of like tech attention. So that's kind of interesting. Um, the other thing I would say to it is like that's cool because they have a lot more margin to play with. Maybe they can like set a precedence with like longer range, higher quality EVs, to kind of establish their trend for that in the future, even with like the Chevy brand and everything. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's also kind of a weird thing because I still envision Cadillac as being like an older generation, super cushy ride vehicle, and this is definitely once again targeting the younger, kind of business class.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how they intend to transition the brand. So I'm always keenly interested in what the brand does, right, from a brand image standpoint, because that's how people perceive your vehicles and your company, et cetera, et cetera. And so I'm curious to see how they'll handle this from a brand perspective, right? I mean, Lincoln, a couple years ago when they went through their whole restructuring or whatever the fuck you want to call it, they went into um, quiet luxury, right? So now they're the quiet luxury guys, and so Cadillac can't do that, even though they're putting an electric motor in something, right? Because they can't copy their crosstown rivals as much as they might want to. Um, so they could definitely. There's a couple of ways that they could go, and neither one shows a lot of promise in my mind. So I'm interested to see how it actually pans out, right? Because yeah, they have to change their target demographic for one, right? Because old people can't buy their cars forever, and let's be honest, that's really not the target segment you want to hit for the most part to be a mass market like luxury car. Um, if you're going if you're going after the old folks, right, they're gonna die and they're not gonna buy another one of your cars. So you really need to get some younger people in there. Not necessarily younger professionals, right? But you at least got to hit people in their like 40s. So they've got that hurdle to get over, and then they just went through this whole like performance brand phase or whatever the fuck it was. And so now they've got to come around from that and turn that into electric propulsion. And while we can all agree that electric propulsion has benefits in the performance world, right? Trying to marry EV and the transition from performance and luxury together is not an easy thing.
I don't know. Like it kind of works. Like the letters kind of work together, right? Like CTS EV, huh?
Yeah.
Huh?
I mean, it's better than the CT5 and 6
Yeah.
and whatever else,
Right.
whatever other numbers there are.
Yeah, I just think this is
What do you think,
purely.
Steph?
I just think this is purely a margins thing. To be honest,
You
I
think
think it's
so?
purely a margins thing because they can test out a bunch of different powertrains and not have to worry about whether they're going to make money on it.
Yeah, but they still have to sell them,
Mm.
right? Like I get it that they can
But
make.
they don't have to sell as many to make the money.
Yeah, but you still have to sell them, right? Like think about if
Yeah,
they came out with a Bolt that was
but
branded
like,
as a
so what
Cadillac.
would, so they're essentially saying that what Tesla envisions as the future is wrong, right? Tesla's been trying to make cheaper and cheaper and cheaper ones. Right now you can't get a Model X for under 50 grand.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So what they're saying is, oh no, we think that's the correct market for it, right? So they're saying that Tesla trying to, I mean, that we just saw, I sent that an article about Volkswagen having a platform that could potentially be selling in the 30s, and
Yeah.
that was done by outsiders looking in. They're like, yeah, they could probably sell this for 30 grand.
Yeah. Right.
Right. So in my mind, this is a lower risk because they tried the low end. They tried the Volt. The Volt wasn't selling. Right. The Volt and the Bolt or whatever. Always forget which one. I think the Volt was the electric one. But in any case,
The Bolt was the electric one.
The Bolt.
The Bolt was the
Bolt
electric
the
one.
hybrid. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Bolt didn't sell at low end. So it's like, okay, we're going to try high end. And by the way, the Bolt also wasn't making money. So then this will be a way to ensure that you're not drowning yourself. Right.
Yeah. I mean, I see where you're going.
And I also think that in my mind, people buying Cadillacs, this doesn't necessarily have to be their only car. So the range anxiety gets taken down a bit because it might be it's something for a fun retiree to say, oh, hey, I might want to try one of these newfangled electric things.
I don't know, to a point, right? So like my grandpa was a Cadillac guy, right? When Cadillac was a more well respected.
Yep.
And he was a one car guy, right? He was never going to have 2 cars because at the time the Cadillac was still the working man's reach vehicle, right?
Mhm.
It was the one that you got as you retired out, or the one that you got at the end of your career, or whatever it was, right? You were finally able, your kids had finally left the house and you could finally buy a fucking Cadillac, right?
Mhm.
And if we're still going, if Cadillac's still going after that segment, right, then there's going to be a lot of range anxiety because now you have older people who are used to regular internal combustion engines who are like, wait, I can only go to the store however many times I have to charge this thing every night. You know what I'm saying?
But what's interesting to me too is that
would your old man buy a Cadillac EV?
No.
Why?
Well, my dad's an awkward case, and my dad only likes German cars.
Yeah, but in theory, your old man's the perfect target demographic.
Yes, but but you also have to remember that we also grew up with parents that grew up in like the muscle, not necessarily your grandpa, but your dad in the muscle era.
Yeah.
So like, I think it's very hard to not like cars of that ilk, right? For them, having a big engine was a big deal.
Yeah, it's true.
But the thing from my side is the interesting part, back to what you said about marketing towards young professionals. Do young professionals care about luxury brands?
They want BMWs.
But do they en masse? I know that that's what everyone says, right? It'd be an interesting thing to actually do the research and say, okay, people in their 30s to their 40s, right, that are professionals that make over, let's say, $70K a year, right? Let's just put a number on it. If someone did some research and actually saw what they were buying, I think there would be a disproportionate amount of people buying regular cars.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
I get that the aspiration is there, but I think that there's a disproportionate amount of people that buy Priuses. I think that the young professionals would rather buy a Prius, a nice Prius.
I would probably agree with you, yeah.
If they're of that mindset. If they're already of the hybrid electric mindset.
Yeah, they're more likely to buy a cheaper one in the first place.
Yeah, they don't care so much about the luxury branding of it, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, they'd all be buying BMW i8s.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I agree. You're right.
So, yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting play. I mean, we'll see how it works out. I just also think that you're missing out on... By doing this, you're admitting that you're probably going to bring that technology to the rest of your brand later, which I don't think they do. I think this is just a marketing ploy, and they're going to bring them out at the same time.
Yeah,
I think you're going to see a Malibu EV at the same time. They're just not going to
shortly thereafter.
They're just not going to advertise it, right?
Yeah,
but
right.
If they're sticking to this, I think you're missing the big population growth to EV, right? If the jump to EV happens in the next 10 years, unless you put something out already, which they might already have something in the holster, right?
Well, they probably do.
They probably have something like coming up, but like you may miss the early wave of adopters into the new cheap EV market.
Yeah, but they don't care. They're foregoing that for the higher margin.
But can they afford not to care?
Yeah, well,
right. I mean, it goes back to the debate of like 2008 with the trucks, where everyone's like, "Oh, we're fat and happy selling trucks. Oh, this new car thing is just going to be a fad."
Yeah,
efficient car things.
But okay, so if they're developing a new Cadillac platform, right? Think about it from our end, from a Ford standpoint, right? If Lincoln was developing a new platform for EVs, you're telling me that we wouldn't be able to tool up fairly quickly to make that, to rebadge that as a Ford in the event that we think we're missing the boat on cheap cars.
Well, but the issue is the margins.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
you can't get enough out of the margin.
Yeah, you will have engineered it for the higher margin already. Yeah, you're right.
So I have a couple things here since we're getting into this.
Oh, hey, Tom's still here.
Yeah, I'm still here. I've been Googling a little bit while you guys were talking about that, because there is a vehicle that Cadillac did that kind of similarly performed this experiment back in 2013.
The ELR?
Which was the ELR. Okay. Yep. So that's a hybrid. It had like 35 miles of range. It's basically the Cadillac Volt.
Yep.
And they actually have some interesting numbers here about like the cost to set up the Volt, and which is also they made Opals and Holdens versions of the Volt. So the plant cost to set everything up was around $530 million. And to add the ELR onto that was a $35 million investment. So they had a total of $561 million. From the year 2013 to 2016, they sold just under 3,000 ELRs. So over a 3-4 year span, they sold about just under 1,000 a year.
What's 3,000 times like whatever the value of those is? 55 grand.
Oh, it was actually 75.
Oh, wow.
They started out 75, and then in 2016 they dropped the price down to 58. So their actual revenue from those cars over that time was like 210.
So not even
$225
nearly
million.
a payback period.
Well, that's only the ELR, so that's not including the Volts. So they made money. Like they made probably a good amount of money because they sold a lot more Volts than they did the ELR. I don't know if they broke even. Like I don't know what the cost, after the plant building was, like what their margins were. So they probably at least broke even.
Well,
with the
but they probably made money yearly, but not necessarily from a project standpoint, right? Because that's a lot of investment. Because you have to remember, this is now our side of the business, right? Adding a variant to it very rarely adds capital value if you do it correctly to your facility, right? So that $30 million that they put into that plant is probably all in what we call non-value added changes. So tooling and stuff like that, which was arguably okay, maybe, right? If you're building it hypothetically, but it's less, it's more costly. Yeah. It's more costly than the initial value putting the line in for all the rest of the vehicles that you can amortize over a long period of time.
And if you really want to get into all the details, right? You've got a large capital outlay at the front, which is more valuable than your cash flows that are coming in later, right, from the vehicles. So yeah, from a business standpoint, they probably lost money.
In any case, just to kind of put a button on this, because we have talked about it, but I did do some Googling also of my own while we were talking about this. And before we transition into a next topic, I would like to say, put this on record, that the two people without two engineering degrees, that were like, you can't put magnesium in pistons. A standard A390 aluminum used in regular pistons has a magnesium content of 0.5 to 0.65.
Oh, point. Yeah, okay.
Oh, well,
0.5 what percent? Or
it doesn't matter. It's a percentage content. And then you go to an aluminum 4032 hypereutectic piston, which is a whole nother thing.
It has a lot of hypereutectic piston.
It has a lot of silicone in it, but there's two different standards right now that I could find for performance pistons. A 4032 has 1% magnesium, so that's higher, almost double the magnesium, and a 2618 aluminum alloy has 1.6% magnesium, almost 3 times the magnesium content of a regular piston.
I just want to point out that when you say magnesium piston, it instantly goes to 100% magnesium in whoever's head you're talking about, and that there's no magnesium
to the pistons. Uneducated people without two engineering degrees.
It is an aluminum piston with a magnesium content.
Which is probably
it has a higher magnesium content. It has almost triple the magnesium in it.
So you want to know what happened? You want to know what happened to me when I used hypereutectic pistons?
Were they forged or were they cast?
Hypereutectic are always cast. Forged are forged. Hypereutectic are cast. It's a cast piston. Yeah.
I don't know about that.
I'm pretty sure.
I don't know about that.
I'm pretty sure.
They're typically only cast.
Yeah.
Because the extra expense of forging is not justified when cast pistons are considered strong enough for stock application. So maybe in the business world, but from a mechanic standpoint, you can forge them as well.
Oh yeah, but they don't, right? So you can only buy a hypereutectic piston. You can only buy a hypereutectic piston that's forged.
Yeah.
Or that's cast. If you go to a forged piston, it's not hypereutectic anymore.
Yeah.
And they fucking blow up, dude. Mm-hmm. If you put them in like a semi high performance engine, they won't last.
Yep. So it says here, hypereutectic pistons are significantly less strong than the 4032, 2618 high magnesium pistons.
So you're saying like this Ford GT that's supposed to be, are you telling me this has these exploding hypereutectic
No, the Ford GT will have forged.
It'll have the 4032 forged. Yeah.
Hell, they may even have a special alloy for those ones. Just that's stronger.
You'd be surprised. We reuse a lot of alloys.
Do we?
There's only a certain amount of.
I suppose.
I think we only have one
the 4G.
patented.
Did you know that
our CGI mix is patented? We're the only one that can use that mix.
Oh, okay. Did you know that Bert something or other, the guy that did you ever see the world? No, have you ever seen the world's fastest Indian?
Wonderstone?
No.
And Ernie?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Okay, you've never seen the world's fastest Indian, so I'm going to talk to Tom. He's seen it. So that guy, that Australian or New Zealander or whoever the fuck he was, that ran his Indian motorcycle, on the salt flats or whatever back in the 60s and set a record that stood for a long fucking time. He built his bike in a shed, right? Basically, he bought an Indian and then modified it in a shed, and he used to fucking cast pistons.
Burt
Monroe, there you go. He used to cast pistons for his motorcycle by dropping in like a bit off of the Chevy piston and a bit off of this Ford piston and whatever else to get like the perfect alloy, right? And there's no science behind it whatsoever. It's just like he had so much trial and error that he came to the conclusion that this is what works best in this engine.
Man, that'd be a lot of trial and error. That'd be like a lot of.
Dude, he was like, I mean, he had way too much time to do it. The dude was like 65 when he set the fucking record.
Yeah, he was from New Zealand too.
Yeah, that's what I thought so. Yeah,
that was a good movie. That's definitely worth a watch.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I haven't watched it in a long time.
I think it's on Amazon for anybody that's wondering.
Either way, point being.
All right, there's magnesium in pistons.
There's a higher magnesium in performance pistons.
All right, Sal, you can have this one. We're sorry.
But as I was saying, transitioning, because we can talk electric for the whole time, and actually, I'm sure that they might show something. It's auto show season here in Michigan the last year.
The last time that's going to be in January.
Yeah, and then in June it's going to be like all the other, like the Chicago one that's just put on by the dealers, and it's like new Hyundai Sonata 2018.
Wait, the one in Detroit's put on by the dealers.
But it's not like Chicago. Very few people reveal stuff in Chicago.
Trucks.
Not really.
Always.
No.
Chicago's always the truck reveal.
No way.
Yeah.
Well, that's another point we can argue. But so today, if you're not in the auto industry and you don't listen to us in Michigan or Tennessee or Ohio or one of those, there's a lot of employee preview events, right? So almost all the employers do employee previews. There's a Cadillac one that was announced in the Free Press. There's a Ford one that was also in like the Free Press, or one of those announced it, and obviously we got invited to it. A lot of the vehicles they've shown in the dealers, which is where we got so screenshots of that Shelby GT 500 came out like 3-4 months ago when they were in a dealership conference in Vegas. So what Mike and I were talking about is the luster there. Now I would like to put a star out saying that if I can make it, I will try to make it to the auto show. but I'm also like, I mean, like from a Ford standpoint, the Explorer's been revealed, the GT 500 has been revealed. To a certain extent. I mean, yeah, sure, you don't know all the statistics about whatever, but you've seen the fascia of it. You know what's coming. Toyota just accidentally leaked the Supra in Mexico, right? If you saw all those articles.
Was it accidental?
Well,
I didn't read the article, so I wasn't.
I mean, well, they leaked it in Mexico, but I don't think it was supposed to go up. Oh. Yeah, because they had a whole video on it or whatever. So the Supra got leaked. Cadillac has the XT6, which... Okay, that one hasn't been leaked, but I'm going to go ahead and take a stab and say it's going to look like a big XT5.
Yeah, I'd venture to guess, yeah.
Like, I'm just going to take a stab in the dark and say it's going to be a big XT5.
Kind of how like a Traverse looks like a...
Equinox kind of-ish, yeah. Or like the Lincoln Nautilus looks kind of like a bigger MKC, which that'd be an interesting name. It's the Tugboat. I'd look out for that one, that Lincoln Tugboat.
There's supposed to be a tugboat?
No, I don't know. I'm just trying to come up with some sort of boat-themed name for the small...
Oh, yeah, right.
The pedal boat.
No, they're calling it the Aviator. That's what's replacing the MKC.
No, MKC is smaller. MKC is escape size.
Yeah, that's what the Aviator is going to be, isn't it?
No, the Aviator is the like the Explorer sized.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Nautilus is
the Nautilus is
edge
one
size.
down from okay, yeah.
Aviator is Explorer size.
Yeah, I don't know what to replace the MKC then.
It's gonna be like
the Nautilus is replacing the MKX.
Yeah, the MKX, which is the edge-sized vehicle.
The MK, I forget whether we. Do you know we still build the MKT?
I think so. Yeah.
Dude, they're like no joke. They still come out right now.
Yeah, well, I've never been able to figure. I think they still build I think the Flex is still being built to some extent.
Yeah, the MKT and the Flex run on the same line.
It's crazy. But in
Yeah.
any case, back to the point of it. So does the auto show mean as much these days?
No.
So I'm just gonna point out, I was talking to some people while I was
Mhm.
gone, okay, or away,
Wait,
and
what people wear?
like
It matters.
these are people in like actually San Francisco area,
Okay.
so California, and they're like the thing that got like of all the things that are being released and unveiled in the auto show this year, which is actually like more than there has
Yeah.
been, I think. Like everybody's talking about the Supra. Nobody cares about the Explorer, the GT500, but that Supra, even though I personally like, it doesn't move me per se. To me, it kind of like some parts of it look kind of like a 4C, and some parts of it kind of look like an MX5. But everybody's talking about that at the auto
Because
show.
it's the Supra,
So,
Tom.
Yeah, it hasn't been around in like 20
yeah, it's
years.
Supra.
It's a nameplate that matters.
It doesn't fucking matter.
It's also interesting that they're launching it in Detroit. Like, I don't know, like Supra like is a big deal here, but I imagine it's also a big, or if not bigger deal, other places. So it's
Yeah, but
kind of
hasn't the
interesting
rest
to
of the
me
world
that they're
had
launching
a
it.
Supra still, like, or something
No.
similar? Not
I
at
don't
all.
think so.
No,
Oh.
the Supra was dead.
Hmm.
Other than the 3 years of teasers and stuff. Yeah, no, I agree with you, but I mean, even then, like, and Tom, you're kind of following into this. Like, even CES, from what I understood this year, was kind of a bust, right? These conventions about revealing stuff are starting to.
Well, because everything's become a technology show, right? And technology is only glitzy every so often, right? Like, think of how long it took for us to go
Yeah.
from the first computer, which was a big deal, to like the first desktop computer, which was the next big deal in computing.
And arguably, the companies themselves are reaching less people by revealing something exclusively at a convention than they would having a media press, like
sure.
social media.
Yeah, now it makes more sense to introduce it on fucking Twitter.
Which is what they did, like the Explorer, right? The Explorer came out on social media first, right before the convention. So at that point, it's like, well, are you even really revealing it at the I mean, I guess it's the first time you see the sheet metal. But
but you know that it's coming out at that point, right? So for me, once I see the spec sheet, I don't really care what it looks like. You know the details.
Yeah, I mean, and we were talking about, I think the auto shows are also important for concepts, but we haven't seen a concept in a hot minute.
The last concept I remember was a Cadillac El Mirage, which was fucking phenomenal, and they should build that as their electric car.
Yeah,
I'd buy one. Actually, I probably wouldn't. They'd be like $200,000.
That reminds me of one of those like Batman the Animated Series, are really like Art Deco-y huge cars. That's what that Mirage reminds me
for sure. That's why I would have bought one.
There's even a Buick or something back then that was like.
Really they had a Buick concept, didn't they? It was like a Buick SUV crossover concept or something that would actually looks pretty good. Or maybe it was a car, wasn't it?
They had the car.
Yeah,
and it was
that's
like,
right.
I think it was the car. It was big.
Yeah.
It's
been so long.
Yeah, I mean, there's I don't know. It's going to be actually the XT. What did you say, Sal? The XT6.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually, there's pictures of it on CNET. So if you
did you say CNET?
It does look. Yeah.
Oh gosh,
there's a preview.
That's where we've gotten to the point where CNET is breaking car.
What is CNET?
CNET is a computer.
It's like an old tech
blog. I still like the reviews a bit. But
yeah.
God.
Are we talking about the XT5?
Yeah.
That's like does this not look like a BMW X Series ripoff to you, Tom?
To me, this looks like, aside from like the interior, the exterior looks like a non-binary type of a vehicle look.
It does look kind of non-binary.
I mean, the back end is nice. I'll give him the. Well, I don't know.
To be honest, that grill looks a lot like a Ford grill.
Well, it's the same grill as the Escalade, right? Because the Escalade was.
Oh yeah, okay.
But like, to me, just the back, behind the C-pillar. This is riveting podcasting. By the way.
Yeah, right. Talking about pictures.
It's got that little triangle in it with the X. Oh man, they're trying to make it look sporty. What are we doing here?
Yeah, for sure.
So
what are we doing here?
So on CNET,
they're definitely trying to make it look sporty.
Picture 20, there's a 72 picture reel of this thing. Picture 20, they have some pictures of the back seat.
It takes too long to go through
and
all
I can say is like the amount of plastic is embarrassing. Like you can see like up over the right shoulder of the passenger side.
Oh, that's bad.
Back seat person.
That's
that is all
bad.
that cheap plastic. the cup holder on the right side of the picture is all plastic. Looking down by the feet, like the foot covers on all the seats is
that's
all
rough.
plastic. There's a
Oh,
lot
dude,
of plastic
even
in
the
there.
if you look on the front, this would be the rear, the third row. So we're looking at the third row in this picture. If you look at the second row, they've got captain's chairs, with armrests. Right below that armrest is that seatbelt cover, right, where it hinges and shit. That's just a clunky, ugly looking cover. Oof.
Also, that piano black stuff. I had a car with the piano black plastic for the thing. Not a good look. It's just always smudgy.
Oh, yeah.
For the center, it's just always smudgy. But in any case,
it looks like it has a lot of trunk space, though. Sorry, I'm trying to find something good. I'm trying to find something good about it here, guys.
It's a bigger XT. Yeah, I mean, oh gosh.
I will say this though, the like the front dash, the carbon fiber stuff. There's another like kind of a weave epoxy thing that they do. My neighbor has a Cadillac that has that in there on some of the touch surfaces, kind of, and that actually looks amazing and doesn't smudge at all. Like you just don't notice the smudges because of the pattern.
But my Taurus had one that's a sports sedan. Do you really want carbon fiber in a Cadillac?
No, I want leather. I want leather.
Well,
and
it's not
wood.
really carbon fiber.
I don't want any carbon fiber.
It's almost like some kind of weave.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's not
exactly
carbon, but you want like a plushy leather on there,
Okay.
or like wood, like the Scandinavians and Germans do.
I just want to say something. All right, Tom, look at picture number 37. And I just want to tell you.
1 second. I clicked out of it for a second.
Get back to it because this reinforces my position on station wagons. Because if this isn't a slightly taller station wagon, I don't know what is. Because from that angle, it looks like a station wagon with a higher belt line. 100%. Yep.
Absolutely.
Right? Like not even a little bit. If you were to take the, I don't know, like a Mercedes, 5 Series station wagon, it would look like this.
What's going on with
that? If you took the roof rack off of this, it would look like a like an old Caravan or something.
Can we stop?
Like one of the
as an industry, can we stop putting chrome trim around all our windows? For the love of God, just make it black. I do not get what is the point?
And the problem with it is that it's
I will say this, it cleans.
Yeah, but it's all plastic, right? So it's all chromed plastic, which makes it worse. It's not a metal.
Yeah, I don't know.
It still cleans easier than the black stuff.
And what are we doing with this huge long
stuff.
grill? Like the front fascia is like 4 feet tall. Like you're building a snowplow.
Yeah, for sure. So that's what gets me, right, is in order to make all these cars look sporty, and this goes for just about any manufacturer these days, the belt lines have raised.
Yeah.
And it's also raised for pedestrian safety, occupant safety, blah, 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 right? But the downside of having that higher belt line is that everything looks fucking massive, right? Like, they're trying to hide this grill with some upright lights and some scoops and shit like that, right, to make it look shorter than it is. But at the end of the day, it's like a 2.5, 3 foot tall fucking grill. It's huge.
All right, so you guys know how my situation with Ford has been lately, right?
Where are we getting updates?
What? No, not exactly. I'm flipping through. We're basically at the auto show right now. I don't know if you guys noticed it, but we're basically doing the same thing we do at the auto show. But I'm clicking through the pictures for the 2020 Explorer. And would you say that the Explorer should be above or below the XT6?
As far as like price point or what?
It's the same.
Just like if I... Is it the same thing?
Class, same vehicle class, yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, the interior shots of this look way better. It's a platinum edition. Whatever.
Oh, yeah. Platinum
probably the same.
Probably cost you as much as a starting XT6, right?
Probably more.
Yeah,
but, like, it doesn't look...
Yeah.
But, like, the covers and, like, plastic and everything. So, I rode in a 2017 Mercedes GLE 350 yesterday. And it was amazing. Like, you know, like you said, wood touch surfaces, like... really high quality, you know, everything that was like aligned perfectly inside for the trim and everything. Like it looked gorgeous. And like you can kind of notice in the XT6, like some stuff looks kind of weird. And these pictures of the Explorer look amazing.
Other than the
like,
Explorer, than the 2000 and 2011 vintage iPad that they have for the dash. That border on that iPad on the dash is a little bit, ooh. It's got like a 2-inch border, but in any case, but the interior fit and finish looks nice, right? Like you can almost smell it from here. Like the leather's all nice. It looks kind of plushy. It has a wood finish. It has a dimension to it. That's the one thing I've had an issue with the Cadillacs lately is that the dash is it's one level, right? It's not scalloped. It doesn't have much depth to it.
It's very one dimensional.
Flat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, in any case, I guess point being, right? So, but to your point exactly, Tom, we're pretty much at the auto show right now. I mean,
oh yeah,
we've seen the cars at the auto show,
yep.
And in a lot of cases, we've seen them better than we'd get to see them in the auto show, other than the exterior mark, because you can't even see the inside of some of them, right? Because it's door locked or whatever, or you're fighting the masses.
You don't get the feel, right?
But yeah.
Let's be honest. Would you rather go to the dealer in 6 months and test drive a car that you're interested in, or I don't know what noise that was, or is that
Mike's
me?
laptop?
Oh, that's me. That's what it was.
Yeah, you can. You're still going to go test drive it, right? You're still going to have to go test drive it when the time comes,
right.
anyway.
And so, do you really want to go stand in line at the auto show to fucking sit in a car for 2 minutes with a bunch of people gawking at you, right? Or do you want to go test drive the car and see how it actually performs and really feels?
And touch a bunch of the surfaces that everybody else touches during flu season.
Yeah, right.
End up with a bunch of sales going there, but in any case, yeah. So I guess we after that 10-minute riveting, everyone looking at picture. For the readers at that point, when we start talking about the auto show, just do yourself a favor and pull up the CNET article of the XT6,
and also the one of the 2020 Explorer,
and just follow along. It'll make this so much better. Don't do it if you're in a car.
Yeah, if you're driving, don't pull that up.
Don't do it.
If you're in the gym, go ahead. You pull it up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But
actually, before we jump off, one last thing about the Supra that I did not know, but it is actually based on the BMW Z4 platform.
I believe that.
In case you didn't know that,
which is also very interesting because the article was talking about the fact that a lot of people were mad because the last one they said it's too much of an Asian market Mustang, right? It was too big. A lot of people argued it was too big. Yep. It was a muscle car. It was an Asian muscle car, which was always a deal.
It was a muscle car.
But it wasn't. They're saying that the initial conception of Supra, like Mark 1 through 3, was small, zippy sports car.
Yeah, okay.
And then 4 just got into big muscle, which is why I love that thing. But and then this was a return to small, zippy sports car. So basically, the Toyobaru twins 6 years later. It's an FRS with a different badge. But yeah. So I guess the auto show is not necessary. Fun to go with, but not necessary as much.
I think you do get some of that like fit and finish, like quality information. Like if you go and sit in a vehicle you're actually interested in buying. But yeah, like I mean, it's the people just don't show up. You know what I mean? Like
there's
the big
you're talking
the exotics and everything.
I would say the auto show still draws 800,000 people in Detroit.
And to that point, the only person I know that goes to auto shows to figure out what car they're going to buy these days, which apparently now you, Tom, but you and my dad. That's the only people I know that go to an auto show to figure out what they want to buy.
I mean, I still know a lot of people that like to go down to the auto show, but mostly just because it's a tradition, right? Like they just go to the auto show and wander around and shit, right? They're not necessarily going because of the cars.
Right.
It's just a thing to do.
Or because they're specifically looking at, I want to buy a new car or whatever.
Right. They're just going out to look and see what the new shit is, you know? But I don't know. So are you going to the auto show, Tom?
To be honest with you, before this podcast and us looking through the CNET article, I was going to try and bring up and say, yeah, let's go. But I'm on the fence again. Like instead of the auto show, like we could go to, I don't know, like we could go to like Suburban Collection or do something more interesting, probably than go to the auto show, unfortunately. Because there is like the big thing is the Supra that's coming out. The Ford stuff is all I think good, but I don't need to go and wade through 500,000 people in order to see it.
Especially because the Explorers are going to be there's going to be hundreds of them sitting in in the dealer lots in about 3 months.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right. Yeah. And like hardly like 2% of them are going to be like
Yeah.
the high trims that you see at the auto show. So, yeah. So I mean, I don't know. Like maybe we should just figure out something else to do. We can have like a, podcast near the auto show.
Hey, I'm down.
At a diner down the street.
I'm always down for diner food.
Yeah, this is welcome to Cars Unfiltered near the auto show, not at the auto show, near the auto show.
Coming to you live inside the diner next to the
Yeah,
auto show.
yeah. Coming to you live from Onassis Coley Island on Trumbull in Michigan.
We're here at the debut of the new Cadillac diner.
We can just stand outside and like walk when people come out. Did you care about anything you saw today?
Oh, actually, that wouldn't be a bad idea. You guys want to do a thing at the auto show? We can interview some people on the way out. Ask them what they thought.
Yeah, that could work.
Let's do it. Keep a lookout for that, guys. We might do that next time.
All right.
Well,
don't get your hopes too high.
Yeah, don't get too.
Sounds like a plan to me. Well, yeah.
But if you're at the auto show, look for us.
Yeah,
cool.
We may be there.
We'll be 3 nondescript dudes, all bundled up.
Security might get nervous about me standing outside for too long, but that's all right.
You'll know us because security will be dragging Sal away, and me and Mike will be chasing after them. Yeah. Like, no.
And on that note, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.